He jumped before a poisoned spear, covering her with his body, not knowing she's a princess. The desert wind howled through the cliffs as the caravan pressed forward, shimmering in the golden heat. Horses snorted, camels groaned, and guards kept watch with wary eyes. Among them, cloaked in plain robes and riding a modest horse, was a young woman with piercing green eyes and sun-kissed skin. No one in the caravan guessed that beneath the dusty veil and worn leather sat Princess Layla, heir to the kingdom of Zeran. Layla had slipped away from the palace, craving freedom and real air. A life behind golden gates had stifled her. She wanted to see the real world, not just tapestries and tales. Disguised as a merchant's niece, she traveled with traders heading to the border town of Almara, never revealing her identity. In the same caravan rode Malik, a strong, sharp-eyed young man hired as an escort. Orphaned in a tribal raid, Malik had spent his life surviving the harsh sands and deadlier men. His reputation was solid. He didn't speak much, but he never let harm touch those he was paid to protect. Layla noticed him early on, how his eyes always scanned the dunes, how he offered his water to an old man when he thought no one was looking. He had the calm strength of someone who'd known loss but hadn't let it harden him. He, in turn, barely noticed her, assuming she was just another quiet girl from a merchant family. But fate was watching. 2 days from Almara, they entered the Ravine of Thorns, a narrow pass flanked by steep, jagged rocks. Malik rode ahead, uneasy. The wind felt too quiet. The shadows were wrong. Suddenly, a sharp whistle sliced the air. "Ambush!" someone shouted. Arrows rained from above. Bandits emerged from the cliffs like wolves, attacking with brutal precision. Chaos broke. Screams. Hooves. Steel against steel. Layla ducked behind a rock, her heart pounding. She clutched a small dagger, but had no idea how to use it. A bandit spotted her and advanced, grinning. She backed away. No guards near. No time to scream. And then Malik. He appeared like a storm, sword slashing the bandit down in one blow. She looked up at him, her breath catching. He didn't ask who she was or what she was doing alone. He just moved to shield her, eyes never leaving the threat. A second bandit, seeing an easy target, launched a spear, its tip dipped in a dark green poison. Layla saw it before Malik did. He turned to look at her. She opened her mouth to warn him, but the spear was already flying. Without thinking, Malik spun and leapt, straight into its path. It struck him in the back with a sickening thud. His body crashed into hers, pushing her down the ground as he shielded her with his full weight. She screamed as the blood soaked through his tunic and onto her hands. The bandits, retreating at the sound of oncoming soldiers from a nearby patrol, disappeared as quickly as they came. Silence returned to the ravine. Only the moans of the injured remained. Layla cradled Malik, her veil fallen, revealing her full face. Her tears streamed down. "Why did you do that?" she sobbed. "Why would you do that for me?" He coughed weakly. "Didn't know who you were didn't matter." She pressed her hand to the wound, trying to stop the bleeding. "You fool, you brave, beautiful fool." But the poison was fast. He was fading. Later, when the reinforcement arrived and the wounded were treated, a royal guard, one who had secretly followed her from the capital, recognized Layla and rushed to her aid. By sundown, Malik lay unconscious in a tent, barely alive. Layla stood outside, her face pale, her royal identity revealed to the stunned caravan. The general bowed to her, but she barely noticed. She only asked one thing: "Can he be saved?" The healer looked grim. "The poison is rare. We need the petals of the red desert bloom, only found on the cliffs of Al-Hijr. It blooms at dawn and dies by noon." "I'll go," she said immediately. "My lady, you can't," the general objected. "I will." The next morning, she rode alone into the cliffs, racing against the sun. She climbed, fell, bled, and kept going. At the top, just as the first rays broke the horizon, she found the flower, a single fragile bloom, growing from stone. She clutched it like a prayer and raced back. The healer made the antidote. It was just in time. Malik awoke 3 days later to the sight of her face beside his. "You're the princess," he said slowly. "I am," she whispered, holding his hand. "But I'd rather be just Layla to you." He blinked. "You risked your life." "So, did you," she smiled. "We're even now." He laughed. A weak, cracked sound, but genuine. Months passed. News of the attack spread through the kingdom. Rumors of a brave warrior who saved the princess reached every corner. Malik, once a nameless guard, became a legend. Layla returned to the palace. But she was no longer the girl who ran away. She walked with purpose. Her father, King Jalil, saw the change and saw the man who had helped shape it. When Malik was summoned to the court, he knelt before the throne. King Jalil studied him. "You saved my daughter's life." Malik lowered his eyes. "Any man would have, your majesty." "No," the king said. "Not any man, and not for someone he thought was a merchant's daughter." He paused and smiled. "I do not forget debts, nor ignore valor." The court expected Malik to be knighted, perhaps rewarded with gold. What they did not expect, what even Malik did not expect, was the king's next words. "If my daughter chooses you and you accept her hand, you may stand not as her protector, but as her equal." Gasps echoed through the hall. Layla stood beside her father, her eyes never leaving Malik's. He looked up, shocked. "You would give your blessing?" "I do," the king said, "not because of status, but because of honor." Malik turned to Layla. She stepped closer, took his hand. "I'd follow you into battle," she said, "but I'd rather walk beside you into peace." He smiled and bowed his head not as a guard, but as a man in love.